The grand ballroom fell silent the moment a tired single father walked through its golden doors wearing an old navy blue suit that had been carefully ironed the night before by his little daughter. Hundreds of wealthy executives, investors, politicians, and business rivals looked toward him with amused smiles, convinced he had wandered into an event meant only for the powerful. At the center of the room stood one of the youngest and most successful CEOs in the country, admired by many and feared by even more. Earlier that morning she had jokingly invited the unknown single dad to attend her company's anniversary gala, believing he would never actually come. But when she calmly stood up from her reserved table, walked across the room, and invited him to sit beside her in the most honored seat in the hall, something unbelievable happened. One by one, several of her biggest rivals quietly gathered their belongings and walked out without saying a single word. Nobody understood why, and the answer would change every life inside that ballroom forever. Before we uncover the truth behind that unforgettable afternoon, take a moment to like this video, leave a comment telling us where you're watching from, share this story with someone who still believes in kindness and second chances, and subscribe to Lifeline Tales so you never miss another emotional journey that reminds us hope can appear when we least expect it. The man everyone had laughed at was named Rowan Mercer. Every morning before sunrise he prepared breakfast for his 8-year-old daughter, Ivy, braided her hair with clumsy but loving hands, packed her school lunch, and then hurried to his modest office where he worked as a contract logistics consultant. 3 years earlier his wife had passed away after a sudden illness, leaving behind silence that echoed through every room of their tiny apartment. Rowan had spent countless nights wondering whether he was strong enough to be both mother and father, yet every morning Ivy's smile reminded him that giving up was never an option. Money was always tight, and although he possessed remarkable intelligence and years of experience solving impossible supply chain problems, few companies noticed him because he lacked expensive degrees and influential connections. Instead, he quietly accepted small consulting jobs while raising the little girl who believed her father could fix anything in the world. Across the city, the brilliant CEO named Celine Ashcroft carried a completely different burden. She had inherited Ashcroft Dynamics after her father's retirement and transformed it into one of the nation's fastest-growing technology manufacturers. Success, however, attracted enemies. Competing corporations constantly tried to steal employees, sabotage partnerships, and spread rumors questioning whether a young woman deserved to lead such a powerful company. Investors smiled in public while plotting against her in private. Every decision felt like walking through a battlefield disguised as a boardroom. Despite her confidence, Celine secretly struggled to know whom she could truly trust. Months before the gala, Rowan had unknowingly solved one of Ashcroft Dynamics' biggest crises. A regional supplier had unexpectedly collapsed, threatening millions of dollars in delayed shipments. While consulting for a small transportation firm connected to the project, Rowan developed a completely new distribution strategy that saved hundreds of jobs. His recommendations reached Celine through several middle managers, but his name was accidentally omitted from the final reports. The company celebrated the rescue while the man responsible quietly returned home to help Ivy finish her homework. A few weeks later Celine accidentally discovered handwritten notes attached to the original logistics plans. The handwriting belonged to Rowan. As she studied every page, she realized the anonymous consultant had seen solutions that even her executive team had missed. Curious, she searched for him and learned something that surprised her even more. Rowan had repeatedly refused offers involving dishonest contracts, choosing honesty over wealth because he wanted his daughter to grow up proud of her father. That quiet integrity stayed in Celine's thoughts for weeks. When preparations began for the annual anniversary gala, several influential business rivals demanded private meetings with Celine. Each hinted at mergers that would place her company under their control. Others attempted to impress her with luxury gifts and promises of international expansion. Feeling exhausted by endless performances, Celine sarcastically told one assistant that perhaps inviting the unknown single father would be more interesting than entertaining another room filled with arrogant executives. The invitation was sent almost as a joke, although a small part of her genuinely hoped he might accept. Rowan nearly threw the elegant invitation away, believing it had been delivered to the wrong address. Ivy, however, insisted that miracles sometimes arrived wearing fancy envelopes. She spent an entire evening polishing his old shoes, carefully ironing his only formal suit, and placing a tiny handwritten note inside his jacket pocket. The note simply read, "No matter where you sit today, you're already my hero." Rowan carried those words with him as he entered the magnificent hotel filled with crystal chandeliers and expensive laughter. The whispers began immediately. Some guests mocked his modest appearance. Others assumed he was a waiter or maintenance worker who had become lost. Cameras ignored him while focusing on billionaires arriving in luxury cars. Rowan felt every judgmental glance, yet he remembered Ivy's note and continued walking with quiet dignity. He had faced much harder days than a room full of strangers. Then Celine did something nobody expected. She left the head table, welcomed Rowan with sincere respect, and escorted him to the empty chair beside her. Confused silence spread across the ballroom. The seat beside the CEO had always been reserved for the most influential guest. Suddenly several rival executives exchanged nervous looks. Within minutes they stood, whispered to their assistants, and quietly exited the event. Reporters noticed the unusual departures but could not understand what had frightened some of the country's most powerful business figures. The truth slowly surfaced throughout the afternoon. Those departing executives recognized Rowan immediately. Years earlier, before becoming a single father, Rowan had served as an independent compliance investigator hired to expose corruption inside major supply chains. Although he had never sought publicity, his investigations had uncovered illegal pricing schemes, worker exploitation, and fraudulent contracts involving several corporations now represented at the gala. Rather than accepting bribes to stay silent, Rowan had resigned from that career when his wife became seriously ill. He chose family over prestige. Many believed he had disappeared forever. Seeing him seated beside the CEO convinced those dishonest executives that Celine possessed evidence capable of destroying their empires. Fear accomplished what lawsuits never could. Celine herself had not known the full story until moments before the ceremony when one retired board member quietly explained Rowan's extraordinary past. She suddenly realized the humble father beside her represented exactly what her company had been missing, not influence, but integrity. During her speech she spoke about courage, honesty, and the invisible heroes who protect organizations without asking for recognition. Without revealing confidential details, she publicly thanked Rowan for reminding everyone that character is the greatest qualification any leader can possess. The applause that followed sounded different from the polite clapping heard at corporate events. It carried genuine respect. For Rowan, the recognition meant far less than the message waiting on his phone. His daughter's teacher had sent a photograph of Ivy proudly telling classmates that her father was attending an important meeting because helping people always mattered. Tears filled Rowan's eyes as he realized the greatest promotion in life was earning his daughter's unwavering faith. In the weeks that followed, remarkable changes unfolded. Honest companies sought Rowan's advice, not because of rumors surrounding the gala but because they admired the principles he represented. Celine created a new ethics and sustainability division and asked Rowan to lead it, allowing flexible hours so he could remain present for Ivy. Employees who had once feared speaking up about unfair practices finally found the confidence to do so. Productivity improved, trust returned, and Ashcroft Dynamics gained a reputation that money alone could never buy. More importantly, Rowan and Ivy discovered that happiness did not arrive through luxury but through restored purpose. Their evenings remained simple, filled with homemade dinners, school projects, neighborhood walks, and quiet laughter. Yet now those moments carried hope instead of constant anxiety. Rowan understood that life had not rewarded him for being perfect. It had simply refused to let goodness remain unnoticed forever. Every person carries unseen battles. Some wear expensive suits while hiding empty hearts. Others wear worn-out jackets while carrying enough courage to inspire an entire generation. We often judge people by the cars they drive, the titles they hold, or the invitations they receive, forgetting that true greatness usually grows quietly in ordinary homes where love is stronger than pride. Rowan never chased applause. He simply chose honesty when dishonesty seemed easier and kindness when bitterness felt justified. In the end, those simple choices became more powerful than wealth itself. If this story touched your heart, please support Lifeline Tales by liking this video, sharing it with friends and family, leaving a heartfelt comment, and subscribing so more people can discover stories that remind us compassion still exists in our world.